Dr. Sage here. Today we begin our video series on bone tissue and the skeletal system. In particular, today we're going to learn about functions of the skeletal system and bone classification. By the end of this video, you should be able to define bone, cartilage, and the skeletal system, list and describe the functions of the skeletal system, classify bones according to their shapes, and describe the function of each category of bones. Bone, or osseous tissue, is a hard, dense, connective tissue that forms most of the adult skeleton, the supportive structure of the body. In the areas of the skeleton where the bones move, for example, the rib cage and joints, cartilage, a semi-rigid form of connective tissue, provides flexibility and smooth surfaces for movement. The skeletal system is the body system composed of bones and cartilage and performs the following critical functions for the human body. It supports the body, it facilitates movement, it protects internal organs, it produces blood cells, and it stores and releases minerals and fat. The most apparent functions of the skeletal system are the gross functions, those visible by observation. Simply by looking at a person, you can see how the bones support, facilitate movement, and protect the human body. Just as the steel beams of a building provide a scaffold to support its weight, the bones and cartilage of your skeletal system compose a scaffold that supports the rest of your body. Without the skeletal system, you would be a limp mass of organs, muscle, and skin. Bones also facilitate movement by serving as points of attachment for your muscles. While some bones only serve as support for the muscles, others also transmit the forces produced when your muscles contract. From a mechanical point of view, bones act as levers and joints serve as fulcrums. Unless a muscle spans a joint and contracts, a bone is not going to move. Bones also protect internal organs from injury by covering or surrounding them. For example, your ribs protect your lungs and heart, the bones of your vertebral column, your spine, protect your spinal cord, and the bones of your cranium, your skull, protect your brain. On a metabolic level, bone tissue performs several critical functions. For one, the bone matrix acts as a reservoir for a number of minerals important to the functioning of the body, especially calcium and phosphorus. These minerals, incorporated into the bone tissue, can be released back into the bloodstream to maintain levels needed to support physiological processes. Bone also serves as a site for fat storage and blood cell production. The softer connective tissue that fills the interior of most bone is referred to as the bone marrow. There are two types of bone marrow, yellow marrow and red marrow. Yellow marrow contains adipose tissue. The triglycerides stored in the adipocytes of the tissue can serve as a source of energy. Red marrow is where hematopoiesis, the production of blood cells, takes place. Red blood cells, white blood cells, and platelets are all produced in the red marrow. A baby's body has 270 to 300 bones at birth, some of which are made entirely of a special material called cartilage. These bones eventually fuse or grow together to form the 206 bones that adults have. Bones stop growing in length between the ages of 16 and 18, but the total amount of bone tissue you have, your bone density, continues to increase slowly until your late 20s. The 206 bones that compose the adult skeleton are divided into 5 categories based upon their shapes. Their shapes and their function are related such that each categorical shape of bone has a distinct function. A long bone is one that is cylindrical in shape, being longer than it is wide. Keep in mind, however, that the term describes the shape of a bone, not its size. Long bones are found in the arms, humerus, ulnus, and radius, and legs, femur, tibia, and fibula, as well as in the fingers, metacarpals, phalanges, and toes, metatarsals, and phalanges. For example, the femur is a long bone. Now, it's a long bone because it's longer than it's wide. That's not necessarily because of its total length. For example, in the hand, the fingers, the metacarpals and phalanges, these are also long bones. So even though this is much shorter, this is still considered a long bone because it's longer than it is wide. Long bones function as levers. They move when muscles contract. A short bone is one that is cube-like in shape, being approximately equal in length, width, and thickness. The only short bones in the human skeleton are on the carpals of the wrist and the tarsals of the ankles. So if we're looking at the carpals of the wrist, these bones here are approximately equal in length, width, and thickness, so these are short bones. Short bones provide stability and support as well as some limited motion. The term flat bone is somewhat of a misnomer, because although a flat bone is typically thin, it is often also curved. Examples include the cranial skull bones, the scapula or shoulder blades, and the sternum, breastbone, and the ribs. For example, if we look at this skull here, this green section parietal bone, if we take it off, we can look and see that it's a flat bone, but it is curved. That's considered a flat bone. Flat bones serve as points for attachment for muscles and often protect internal organs. An irregular bone is one that does not have an easily characterized shape and therefore does not fit any other classification. These bones tend to have more complex shapes, like the vertebrae that support the spinal cord and protect it from compressive forces. Many facial bones, particularly the ones containing sinuses, are classified as irregular bones. So for example, if we look at the facial bones of the skull, and in particular the inferior portion, this red bone here, the sphenoid bone, would be an irregular shaped bone. A sesamoid bone is a small round bone that, as the name suggests, is shaped like a sesame seed. These bones form in tendons, the sheaths of tissue that connect bones to muscle, where a great deal of pressure is generated in a joint. The sesamoid bones protect tendons by helping them overcome compressive forces. Sesamoid bones vary in number and placement from person to person, but are typically found in tendons associated with the feet, hands, and knees. The patella of the knee are the only sesamoid bones found in common in every person. This has been your introduction to bone tissue in the skeletal system, and we learned about the functions of the skeletal system and bone classification. In the next video, we will continue our discussion on bone tissue in the skeletal system. Until next time, this has been Dr. Sage.